Welcome back to my channel. So today's the day. I'm about to take my dog out to go use the bathroom and get ready for this appointment. So I haven't been I didn't take any fertility meds for this cycle. So this period that just passed, I didn't take any Femera. And normally I ovulate. Hold on guys. I look a hot ass mess because I didn't just wake up, but I've been like laying around all day. So normally I ovulate like the cycle day 14. Let me see. Because I got a new phone. Well, I got the Max, and like 3 days after I got the Max, I cracked the screen. Yeah, don't want to talk about it. I was really upset, but I got my screen replaced. But regardless of that, when I switched over from just the X, I use Glow and I use Flow. Glow kept all my information, but for some reason Flow did not keep all my information, so I had to re-input stuff into Flow. And I have to go to Glow to actually see when I ovulated the past couple of months. And hold on, calendar. So so in January I ovulated on the 3rd. In February I ovulated on the 3rd. In March, I believe I ovulated on the 7th. And that was due because February has like 28 days or whatever. So I ovulated on the 7th. April, it's basically saying, if I look at April and do like my 14th, cycle day 14. So like, let me see. Cycle day 14 will be the 9th. So, which it will be tomorrow. So I've taken some ovulation thingies, and I'm gonna show you what they look like. Let's close that. So I took this one because I wasn't for sure. Then I was like, oh yeah, I forgot February was a short month. So like you can see, like that is nothing. And then I believe yesterday, was it yesterday? Yesterday I took this one, and that was off the Clear Blue Advance. And then today I took these 3. And the Clear Blue, it's still showing that, it's so weird because it's like it's still showing just the circle. Now normally when I'm this close to ovulation, it already has a smiley face, it's just not blinking. So like a little bit yesterday and today I've been feeling like kind of like little pains on the right side. So I'm just not for sure what is going on. I believe that I just don't ovulate when I'm not medicated. I believe I just don't ovulate every cycle. But yeah, so I am about to take my dog out and let her use the bathroom, and then get ready for this appointment. And you guys will be coming along. So yeah. You want to say hi, Mama? Mama. Say hi. Say hi to the people. But yeah, so focus. So I'm about to get ready and do all this good shit, and I will see you guys in the next clip.
Egg quality starts to go down. Egg quantity starts to go down. But if I can stimulate more eggs, yeah, I got a better chance of finding a good one.
And that's what the birth control does?
The eggs that come through the ovary come through in a desynchronous way or cluster. Pre-treat with birth control pill stops those growing a little ahead, allows time for others to catch up. It synchronizes that group of eggs, more horses in the starting corral, so that way when I stimulate, I get more eggs on average.
Okay.
A few more rolls of the die, it works better. So as crazy as it sounds, a couple weeks of pills, I get better pregnancy rates. Again,
Okay.
does it go from 0 to 100? Nah, but it's one of those things that give you a little bump. That took pregnancy rates from 7% with Louise Brown 40 years ago to 55, 65 today.
Okay.
So that's why we do birth control pills.
Okay.
That's your first step. And it's just a couple weeks, you're on pills. After the birth control pills, we do stimulation. You literally do same hormone your brain makes stimulate one egg. We're just going to give you 10 doses to stimulate 8, 10, or 12. Those are the shots. The hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, it's a protein. Just like my diabetics can't take insulin orally, you can't do FSH orally. So it's a shot, and it's twice a day for about 7 to 10 days. So we take that normal egg development stage and supercharge it. So just add to what your brain would normally do. Turn you into your favorite litter-forming mammal. During that time, we're watching you with ultrasounds and blood tests, because this is a pot that can be all over the place. So we start with a baseline, we look with ultrasound about 3 days after we start, and then about every other till we get a group of eggs that are mature, and turn that ovary into something like that ovary.
No.
Yeah, just multiple egg sacs developing. When we get a group that are mature, and you can tell by size, number of follicles, as well as the estrogen level, will trigger ovulation. We time that out very specifically. It'll put the eggs through their first cell division so they're ready to fertilize, but just before they ovulate, back to my IVF suite, just the other side of our clinic, and we'll do the retrieval. So yeah, put it in IV, we get a little fentanyl and Versed. Same stuff they do for like wisdom teeth or a colonoscopy, so it's conscious sedation. And then literally,
kind of like hoo-hoo.
some people talk to us the whole time, like, hey, yeah, what'd you do this weekend? Other people are and my favorite, and I kid you not, this happened, it's just the last one I did. It's like, so when are you getting the eggs out? Will you be there with me the whole time? Like, we already got them out. We're done.
Oh,
that's
wow.
my favorite. So it varies.
Okay.
This much, but yeah, a little conscious sedation. Because there's ultrasound probe, there's the ovary, just pass a little thin needle over a needle guide, suction out the filled eggs, come with it. It takes about 10-15 minutes once we're all set up.
Okay.
We'll take each mature egg and fertilize them. Fertilize eggs in the lab. Pictures. There's a mature human egg. Pick out a normal sperm, so they'll thaw out that last sample that you have. There we go. Pick out a normal guy, inject it into each egg. Just doing that step has been shown to improve the number of eggs that fertilize, reduce numbers of abnormal embryos, and reduce number of patients that have nothing fertilized.
What is that one with the double head?
I know, right? You don't want that one. No babies from that one. Or the big head, or the pointy head, or the zombie sperm. Right. Yeah, that's all true. Yeah, pick out the normal ones.
Do they come out like that sometimes?
All the time.
Wow.
Most of them look like that junk.
Wow.
Only about 4% of sperm are normal for men.
Oh,
I know, right?
that's low.
Yeah, we're not very good at this. Bulls, it's like 80. Yeah. Really and truly. We will then grow our embryos for 5, even up to 6-ish days. So 3 days after we fertilize, they look something like that ideally, 6 to 8 cells. You can put them back in the uterus at that stage. It works fine. It just works better if you grow them out to day 5. Why? A couple reasons. Number one is each step they make it, more of the junk dies off. Now, when we get to this stage, are they babies all the time? No. an average, good-looking embryo like that in our hands, about 50-50. But it's better than my 20% teenager eggs. And again, I don't work with teenager eggs, but nonetheless, so it's better. We'd love to grow them further, but we can't. That's when Mother Nature says they belong in the uterus, because that's the stage they get to the uterus.
Okay.
So with traditional IVF, we'll transfer one embryo. We used to do more 2 embryos, but as pregnancy rates got higher and higher, we found that our twin rates are getting higher and higher too. Now twins, mine are 16, they did fine, but to be fair, the risk of twins, higher for all your bad stuff. Losing the pregnancy, birth defects, preterm labor, preterm birth, long-term in the NICU, developmental delay. So they love to remind all of us, most of us are parents of multiples, divorce is higher. It's all true. The last thing we want is we go through all this pregnant with twins, we lose them at 14 weeks. Now, to be fair, all that stuff can happen with a singleton too, but the risks are more than twice as much for the vast majority of those for twins. So the push over the last few years has been, hey, how do we keep pregnancy rates high while minimizing a risk of multiples? Because every now and then you put in 2 and 1 splits, and especially if you're in the medical field.
Yeah, I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, so one option is, hey, if we get, sometimes Mother Nature only gives us 1 embryo.
Okay.
Sometimes she gives us none. We don't have anything to transfer. But if we get 2 or more, just put 1 back, freeze the other. So let's just say we've got 2. Put 1 back, freeze the other. So if that first one doesn't take, we can just give you a little estrogen, progesterone. You don't have to do all this other nonsense. Thaw that second embryo and put it back. Because it's true, if we flip our coins at the same time or sequentially, it works the same at the end of that day. So it's just a way of maximizing pregnancy rates while minimizing multiples. The other is you can screen the embryo as an extra step. It's optional. It's an extra step. It's not perfect. It's called PGTA, which stands for pre-implantation genetic screening.
These long words.
Genetic testing now. Aneuploidy. That's why they abbreviate everything. What is that? What you're doing there is looking to see, hey, does that embryo have the right number of chromosomes in it or not? That's the biggest hurdle in human reproduction. All the DNA stuff that tells us who we are, it's packaged into chromosomes and numbered 1 through 22. You get half from mom and half from dad. There's 44. All the women get 2 X's for 46. All the men get an X and a Y for 46. What we're supposed to do when we make our sperm and eggs is cut them in half. So if an egg with 23 and a sperm with 23, put them together, you have a new person with 46. And when it works, that's what happens. Just back to my misbehaving teenagers, they mess it up rough over 80% of the time. They only get pregnant 20% of cycles, and it's true that of all the clinically recognized pregnancies, up to 20 to 30% can miscarry. Most normal miscarriages are misshuffled chromosomes. That is something we can screen for. Practically what you do is when you get embryos to this stage, you can biopsy a couple cells off that outer part of the embryo, and it's very well tolerated. People wanted to biopsy them back here, they didn't tolerate it as well. But here they didn't seem to see any differences, at least in the randomized trial. And cartoon-wise, that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like in reality. Just holding out of that little embryo, biopsy a couple cells off that outer part. You can then freeze the embryos, send those cells off to the genetics laboratory. Then they can amplify up the DNA, and with microchips, look to say, hey, does that embryo have the right number of chromosomes in it? And indeed, what do we see? In our young patients, under 35, about 60% or so screen normal. 35, 37, about 50%. 38 to 40, about 35%. Over 40, 18% drops off fast. So yeah, your age success curve, your age miscarriage curve, it kind of fits. Now, the problem is if I get one that tests normal, is it a baby all the time? No. We'll see them implant 68 to 80% of the time. So it was similar to putting back 2 unscreened, but now very low risk of multiples. It would have to split. So less than 1% is what we're seeing.
Okay, because I was just like, oh my gosh, because like the IUI is like, okay, it's still possible, but with IVF, I was like,
with
oh
IVF, the
gosh.
key is you just put 1 embryo back. And that way you really minimize your risk of multiples. That's where your control is. You can control what goes back.
So I was like, oh,
Now the screening, I mean, it sounds great. And if it were 100% accurate and free, it would be great. But it's neither. there's an error rate of a few percent. It can still miss downs. For example, you can have an embryo where half the cells are normal and half are abnormal. You biopsy the normal cells, it says normal, you put it back and the baby has downs. It's low, estimated risk about 1 in 10,000, but it's not zero. Your chance for downs is really low to begin with. It can be wrong calling it boys, girls. You could potentially call a normal embryo abnormal and not put it back. It's a low rate, but it's not zero. So is this the end all be all that everyone should do? Some of my colleagues think so. I don't know that I'm sold there yet. So it's optional. Again, if it were free and 100% accurate, it's not. It's extra steps and extra cost. What's the risk? Not working. There's your biggest risk. Getting pregnant with multiples, especially if we put back more than one embryo. So good argument. Put back one. The other risk with IVF, the retreatment. It's a pretty straightforward outpatient procedure. We do over 600 total cycles a year, but needles going in an ovary. Could someone, in theory, get bleeding, infection, need a transfusion or surgery? That could happen. Stimulation. We pre-treat with birth control pills and monitor closely, but it still can be all over the place. If we get one egg that takes off ahead of the rest, stop. I don't want to spend your time, money, and resources on a suboptimal cycle. If we're getting too much stimulation, frankly, that ovary is probably a little too much stimulation. If we're getting too much stimulation, we can still get the eggs out, create the embryos. We just don't have to freeze them. Put them back later. That can avoid the severe hyperstimulation syndrome. People can start shifting fluid in their abdominal cavity. They can look like they're 9 months pregnant and get so bad, especially if they get pregnant. If we let those ovaries cool back down, put the embryos in later, we can avoid that severe hyperstimulation. So an ounce of prevention beats the pound of cure. So we'll cancel our extremes on either side. Birth defects. What's the latest hot off the presses data on birth defects? Study looking at, quote, significant birth defects, defined as could potentially impact quality of life. 1.4% of kids, natural conception, fell into that category. 1.7% of couples with subfertility, meaning they conceived on their own, it took them more than a year. 2% in IVF. So a little bit higher. I think a lot of it's explained by our populations, but whatever, it's higher, but a little bit. Pregnancy risk. It's different whether we do a fresh or a frozen transfer. Fortunately, not high either way. But when we create embryos and put them back the same cycle, there is a little bit high risk for bleeding during that pregnancy, preterm labor, preterm birth, slightly lower birth weights for singletons. For a single baby at term, about 200 grams on average. It's a couple ounces. We don't think it means anything clinically. However, women that stimulate excessively tend to drag those averages. Another reason why we freeze our excessive stimulators, because with frozens, we don't see those risks. With frozens, there's a little bit high risk for big babies, a little bit high risk for the preeclampsia, the hypertension of pregnancy. It was 3 versus 7% in a recent trial. So just different.
Why is that?
With the fresh, we think it has to do with the high estrogen levels that tend to drive some of that. With the frozens, we're not entirely sure, to be fair. Extra embryos. Extra embryos are defined as more than one or two that look like that one. If we do regular IVF, more than one that screens normal if people elect to do the genetic screening. If we have extras, wonderful, freeze them, use them for later on. That way, if you don't get pregnant, we can try again without doing all this nonsense. Or if you do become pregnant and you want another baby, we can try again without doing all this nonsense. Embryo survival is not 100% in anyone's hands, including our own. Well into the upper 90s, but pretty good circumstantial evidence to suggest those that don't make it wouldn't have been a baby anyway. It's part of the reason we see a little bit higher implantation rates with our frozens compared to fresh. Just those that don't make it wouldn't have been a baby. It's a little bit of a selection bias. Of all my stimulations, about a third will have extras. You're a little bit younger with a full gas tank, might be a little bit higher. Still, we hope for it. We don't count on it. Yeah, but your AMH is like 5. So, again, we hope for it, but we don't count on it. When I say a little bit higher, it's still going to be pushing to that 50%. Yeah. So somewhere in between there. We hope for it, but don't count on it. Every now and then, someone's a superstar, though, right? And they give me ovaries that look like that, and 15, 16, 20 eggs, and they turn into 4 or 5 of those. We put one back, and they get pregnant. And 2 years later, we do another one. 2 years later, we do another one, or whatever. Just play this game with me. And it's like, hey, good, but I still have 1 or 2 in the tank. Normally, the patients who create them decide what happens to any extras. Of course, you can use them yourselves. You can discard them. You can donate them to other couples. It's weird. We do that here. Call embryo donation. People can be on the other side of that one. Doesn't come up a lot. Give you an idea, I got about a year wait list waiting for donated embryos. But every now and then it comes up. All right, there's my IVF. So many more questions here.
No.
Glad you recorded that, aren't you?
Hey guys, so I've made it back home. I went to my appointment. Unfortunately, I forgot my camera, but I recorded from my phone. The beginning of the conversation, I thought my phone was recording, but it wasn't. But I got majority of everything recorded from my phone. So I'm gonna have to input my phone video into the vlog. And what else? Some of the stuff at the ending, I did not record because it was asking about personal information, so I did not record. Well, on the 26th of April, I go for my IVF class, and then when I start my period, he's gonna put me on birth control. But yeah, so I start birth control when I start my cycle, and I start my IVF class on the 26th. So after all that is said and done, then I have to do shots for this, trigger shots or whatever it's called, and I'm scared. Y'all, I got tattoos like everywhere. I got it on my thigh, my legs, my back, my neck, the side of my neck, hands, arms, all of that. Piercings. But I am so scared to give myself a shot. Like, I am so terrified to give myself a shot. But I want to be a mother, so I gotta suck that shit up and take these shots when it's said and done, because I have to take them twice a day. I was talking to my cousin yesterday, and she was like, it's only once a day, but come to find out, it's twice a day. I think it's like when I wake up and before I go to sleep. Y'all, I don't want to do this. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. I'm really scared. It's gonna take me forever to stick myself. Forever. But yeah, so that's about it. I am going to clean the inside of my car today. I got a few things for the inside of my car. Well, basically to clean my car. And I got those little drawer things, like the little collapsible like drawers. Of course, everything in my car is red and black. Even the decal on my car is red and black. I am still not done with the outside of my car, putting all the red and black decal on it. But once I get it done, then I'll show you guys. I'll show you a before and after. I've had my car for about 2 months now, but I'm going to clean the inside of my car, and then probably like Wednesday or Thursday, I'm going to really clean the outside of my car. So yeah. So, but I went and got me something to eat. Got some good old Chipotle, my favorite. I love me some Chipotle. But I'm finna eat that, and then I'm going to finish watching Kevin Hart's stand-up on Netflix. I started watching it yesterday, so I'm going to finish watching that while I eat my food. And I think I'm going to do a video on like I did like a video, like a introduction video when I first started YouTube, but I think I'm going to do a video so like you guys really know who I am and really know my life, because I believe soon enough I'm going to get my followers are going to like soar. So I really want you guys to know like everything about me, not just little snippets. I really want you guys to know where I come from and who I am and why I am the way that I am. So yeah, but I'm about to start eating. So I'll see you guys later. Bye. Love you guys. Oh yeah, don't forget to comment, subscribe. Please subscribe, y'all. Please subscribe. And if y'all got any questions, just go ahead and ask me. I will reply. But yeah, I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching my videos. Toodles. Bye.